next, I would like to introduce Dr. Samantha Slotnick.
Yeah.
So Dr. Samantha Slotnick has a distinctive background with undergraduate roots in behavioral psychology, as well as physical chemistry and postgraduate training in behavioral optometry and vision science. She has conducted both functional and anatomical,
That's correct.
all right, anatomical vision research. Her training is visual motor development. Her training in visual motor development has expanded to incorporate the impact of vision on posture, balance, and gait via lens-based postural therapy. Her current primary focus is in her private practice, behavioral optometry practice in Scarsdale, New York, Mind Body World Optometry, an integrative center for holistic eye and vision care, vision therapy, and neurooptometric rehabilitation. She also provides educational consulting for patients and professionals through video interface as well as on-site. Dr. Slotnick is a graduate of SUNY College of Optometry, where she also completed her residency in vision therapy and rehabilitation, along with advanced studies in vision science. She attained her fellowship in the American Academy of Optometry and College of Optometrists and Vision Development, or Optometric Vision, OVRD,
OVDR,
oh, there we go.
Something. Yeah.
I also think of her as a good friend, and I have known her for now 20 years, so I will hand over the mic.
Thank you. Dave, I'm so delighted to be one of your good friends, and you've influenced me in wonderful ways as well. So I have so many things that I want to share. I'm really excited to be talking to a large group, and I've presented this in a couple of other settings, but it keeps getting better. So I feel like this is really well organized to help you bring you along. And I brought toys, which is lenses and things that we can explore with. So I'm really excited about doing this, and feel free to talk with me over lunch. I won't take a reprieve. I'm happy to keep going. I've developed this material, and while I'm saying here there's no relevant financial relationships to disclose, I actually did just publish a children's book. So I'm going to disclose that. There are some copies. I only brought a few copies, and I have some bookmarks in the back, which you can also take with. But I'm excited to have some material that I believe is going to be very helpful for communicating to families, to people in your community. So, but take a look at that later. So on to this topic. Lenses are amazing, right? I mean, what we do with lenses is, there is so much more power in lenses than I could have imagined. And when I came into this work as a patient, there was a lot of activity and things that we could do to get ourselves performing differently, performing more well, and a variety of visual tasks and activities. And I think that my mindset then became, I knew how to play with those games and pull those strings to make things happen and work a system. And so I really didn't have a full representation of what could be done with a lens in a subtle artistic way. Can you not hear me? You can't hear me well? Is this better for you guys? Is it not on? It's not on again. It's on. I need to eat the mic. Is that better? Ah, sugar. I hate this thing. All right. Is this better? All right. Oh yeah. All right. Well, I need my hands. Right now I'm cutting off this huge part of my visual field. So maybe there's some other way. I don't know. Is this better? All right. You're happy and I'm happy. We're good. Okay. So thank you, Chula. So what I was saying is that I don't think I really had even the foggiest idea what could be done with a lens. And as I've been called to provide supports, especially using lenses in a more passive way by people who are doing work in the body, I have grown and learned, and I want to share some of that journey with you and hopefully help empower you to be more strong and powerful with your use of lenses. So Visual input. Visual input defines the field. There is a direct, immediate physical response to the sensory processing of an array of light through lenses, prisms, filters, lenses. This array of light is the visual field, whether we process it consciously or unconsciously. That is our field. And this presentation will demonstrate the impact of lenses and filters on movement, balance, posture, and gait. So as I was just describing some of these people in bodywork disciplines, I've been able to provide visual guidance through the visual field. And this has helped our shared patients fulfill their own objectives for improved body integration, for pain management, for balance and comfort in their bones, in their bodies, in their muscle tone, in their breathing capacity. In recent explorations, I've begun to hone these visual impacts much more intentionally. I'm really good at picking up patterns, and so I started to realize what I was doing when things were working, and then I'm taking less time to get there now. So I hope to share some of these refractive strategies with you so that you may also play with lenses to help your patients with greater freedom of movement. I don't know if it ever made it out. I had suggested that folks can bring quarter diopter sills and half diopter sills and a trial lens frame. Anybody have anything like that? I have a few of those things, so later on we can do more playing, but I guess you guys will have to wait. So there aren't enough of you for all of the lenses I have. Sculpting the field. So a person can be cued to attend an aspect of the visual field. So for example, let's do a little demonstration. I'd like you all to think of red. And now look around the room and take a scan and start counting the red things that you see in the room. Very good. Now, how many blue things can you recall? Lenses can be provided to help a patient to attune to their visual environment in therapeutic and provocative ways. If you look for something, then you start paying attention to it. If you're not looking for it, you probably don't notice it. And a lens can subtly help you start noticing that which will help you organize yourself. With filters, we can sculpt attention to color. And by color, that also includes frequencies, syntonically speaking. With lenses and prisms, we can sculpt attention to orientation, to depth, to domains of space, to the ground. Even patients with spherical refractive states can benefit from the yoked effects of subtle application of cylinder. For example, if you take a quarter diopter cylinder, axis 90 OU, this enhances binocular fusion. How is that possible? How many of you have taken the art and science course with OEP at some point? A few of you. One of the things that they present right at the get-go is that when people have a binocularity problem, they typically develop with the rule astigmatism. That's axis 180. So I thought, well, if some people with decent enough visual skills develop axis 180, what about the ones who don't have decent enough visual skills? Can I help them get there by giving them essentially an ametropia along axis 180? So I started trying to play with, what if I just put axis 90 OU? Figuring that would give them a leg up like a person who's got a little bit of axis 180 still. So it's creating a functional equivalent of with the rule astigmatism. And it also does narrow the field. And conversely, if you apply axis 180, you might enhance the awareness of the horizon as that's what's getting outlined, but you're also creating the functional equivalent of against the rule astigmatism, which is often a focusing problem or signs of a focusing problem. Before people start going into presbyopia, they also start to show axis 90. Right? So this can support head writing and leveling. It can support near-far transitions, which are movements in space accommodatively. So if you've got a focusing challenge, we might actually apply Axis 180 non-compensatorily so that we get essentially a boost in the 90 direction. And we can explore the impact on standing, on gait, on head posture. And then, critically, retest stereo acuity to start validating the impact of changing the field. So this is just a little example that I sort of photoshopped. Imagine that this is a hallway. Well, it is a hallway, but imagine that you're in it, right? And so if you had a cylinder that is axis 90, you might get an effect that is sort of like this, ever so slightly narrowed. It makes the hallway look a little bit longer, but maybe a little more depth. And if I contrast that with axis 180, here the hallway looks broader and the ground is flatter and more stable. It's a little bit foreshortened. So watch that again. Here's axis 90 and axis 180. And I saw one of the individuals in the back occluding an eye. It's a good trick if you wanted to cover an eye to reduce the fact that it's a flat screen from your perceptual awareness, and you might start to perceive a little more sense of depth in the field. Here's at 90 and here's at 180. Here's one more time, 90 and 180. And so you might appreciate as you're flipping through this that there are subtle changes that we don't really look at this as the hallway is too skewed to look like a hallway now. If I take a photo and I just pull at the edges a fraction this way or a fraction that way, that's the equivalent of using maybe a quarter of cylinder and expanding space in one of these dimensions. It's not so far from the normal that it looks wrong. We just don't realize it passively as we first put it on. Oh, we're getting cued differently. So the use of low-yoked cylinders can be a surprising asset in helping patients integrate sensory information through both visual channels. In contrast or parallel, we utilize primitive reflex work to help patients engage the two halves of the body and integrate head-body relationships as a foundation for visual development, especially in strabismus. It's so nice to be complimenting the work that Brenda was sharing. For many of the same reasons, we can use low-yoked cylinder as a tool to help patients passively engage both visual channels and become more well-oriented to their spatial environment. What I'm describing here is that each eye gets the whole of the field, and when we're applying lenses, we're attuning each input set to start orienting the field in harmony, in coherence between the two visual channels. So by highlighting space in a particular way, we start to help the brain say, oh, those things are coming from the same source. I see it better now. I know where it is better now. So there are some of these ways that we can start highlighting similarities in the field. And we'll talk a little bit more about this over this lecture, and the one that I'll be doing tomorrow goes into more detail as well. So this has an impact on body organization. The next series of cases will demonstrate some of the changes which refractive sculpting can create for our patients in terms of their movement. And I'm going to follow with demonstrations with some of the ideas and concepts I've been applying to the binocular visual field. Actually, I'm going to apply one case and then concepts, and then we're going to go into some more cases so that you can see how I apply them. And then we can begin to guide postural changes with greater efficiency and intention. So at the front end of some of my aha moments about how does the visual input affect posture and movement, I was playing with a friend of mine who is a physical therapist, and this next video is going to display some salient differences in body movement, all explored minutes or even seconds apart at times. So you'll see that there are 4 conditions. I am the patient. And so at the time, I was wearing an intermediate vision prescription, which had a blue zero filter, a blue light filter that was really cutting out all that blue light. So comparing and contrasting that with no prescription, and then a trial frame of the exact same prescription, but without a blue filter. So I could just see, well, what happens if, is the filter doing something? That was a surprise. and then a trial frame with what I ended up engineering with my friend as a low yoked cylinder prescription. And so this is Michael Najelski. He is a physical therapist, and I'm hoping you'll be able to hear this okay. He is sort of. He's pre-PRI, PRI. Yeah. So these are the comparisons. And he's just dropping down my shoulder. And I have a real restriction at that moment in that upper left. I couldn't get my shoulder back. In the glasses was worse. Without the glasses is less bad. Taking the blue light filter out, I've got a whole difference in movement.
What the fuck?
Yeah, yes, you heard me right. That is what I said. Does anybody need to see that again? Okay. And I do have a bit.ly link in the slide, so you could just go and watch the whole thing. But I'm just going to show you that again. So that's 2. All right, let's try here. Oh, I missed one. Go back.
Checks maybe slightly quicker.
Okay, this is the first one.
And that's what it is.
Ah,
Checks maybe slightly quicker.
all right, taking out the blue filter. A lot more freedom of
It's
movement.
better. It's better.
And then this is what I engineered with my friend.
What the fuck?
Some things just come out, Anyway, how did I get there?
So tell me,
Yeah.
how will you with this
Uh-huh.
create a role?
How do I create a role?
How do you
He's asking me how do
allow
I create a
yourself-
role in eye
how do you call
movement.
this in optometry?
Cycle.
Cycle.
Yeah.
So how will you create a cycle?
So we're trying to translate between what he's looking for cranially and posturally and what I can provide using the visual apparatus. And so there was a bit of
So,
So wait a second. So
yeah.
concentrate on you.
mhm.
The problem
I had a
over
little
here
bit of
with this
prism
is
in that
that
prescription.
It takes you,
So it was not very
if you
good.
have that prism, it takes you from a right dominant information for the stemming to the left. It takes you too far.
It doesn't actually physically move me. It makes me think that I've moved.
Yes.
And then I behave as though I'm
As you
standing on
move.
the left.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So I was starting to understand that even through the lenses, my whole body alignment is changing when I
A
have
patient who has a
prism.
binocular visual problem sometimes develops
This is
with
kind of
the
what I just
rule.
did. So,
It's better.
and then I'll leave it for you to, if you want to watch me walk through, this is about a 7-minute video. If you want to watch how he goes through the whole assessment in terms of the other parts of the body moving, instead of just the clips side by side, you can see the process. And I think that I couldn't have imagined how different my body would feel. And I also had no idea that when I went there, number one, that I was a case that needed to be worked on, because he said, like, we have to work on your case. And I was like, I didn't know I was a case. So he's trying to affect a change. I went in there just thinking we were exploring and, we were just playing. So that conversation that we had ultimately got that freedom of movement and an open airway, and my pelvis released and I had more strength. And actually the prescription that I put in there is what I've continued to be wearing for the last 2.5 years is my favorite prescription. So I will be doing that with other people for the rest of the seminar. So this is the link. It's just a bit.ly/low yoked sil, and it does have to be capital L, capital Y, capital C if you wanted to type that in and check that out on your own. And this should be in your slides. So what was I wearing? My refractive state was, I'm about a plus 0.12 in the right and a minus 1 1/4. So plus 1/4 pushes me too far. Plano is quite clear on my right eye. My right eye is a rehabilitated amblyopic channel, and I had been as high as about a -3 with some cyl in the left eye before I started dismantling the myopia. So I've dropped at least 9 steps of myopia out of the left. I've dropped down the aniso from, I was somewhere around 3/4 in the right, and I'm on the plus side now. And I've been staying at about that state for quite a while now because it's really convenient monovision. But the filters that I was wearing were not fully compensating. So I want you to see that it's not of the full difference that I have in my refractive state. And I was also wearing a half base down on the left eye only. So that's what he was talking about. Some prism is making me feel like I'm on the right. So the low yolk cyl, it's the +75 and +1/4 with a 1/4 cyl axis 90, and that's what I'm wearing right now. So I want to go over this case example. Ralph is near and dear to my heart. He's 90. He was 94 in this video. I saw him last week. He's doing well, thank God. And so he's almost 96. He's a mathematician. He's a deep thinker. He can be very focal. He has a very strong desire for self-actualization. He uses therapy as a tool to improve his quality of life. I started seeing him around 2008, and he's disappeared at times. He always finds me again, and now his life is better if he at least sees me about once a month. So he comes in and we explore together, and he also always wants activities. So there's always resistance about doing things that are just for the experience there that he can't just emulate at home. And gradually I'm helping him understand that some things change how he is and that he's learning from them, and it changes the activities he can do at home. So he's in an aniso hyperope with mild refractive amblyopia of the left eye, and he wanted to do anything and everything without any glasses. He wants to be free of glasses. He's 94 in this thing, and he wants to be so free of glasses. And I was arguing with him about these glasses help you. They're helping you stand up more straight. Let's work with this. Your body is better integrated with them. So ultimately, he was open to using them as a tool. By the way, he walks his dog every morning, and he had had a recent fall or stumble on a branch. And these things worry me, especially because he's very dear to me. So again, here's the monocular subjective. Interestingly, he's in a monocular subjective, his right eye is so engaged, he's at plano -1 1/4 axis 90, but in a binocular balance, he's softened that to +1 1/4, -1 1/4. So Brenda's comments about the accommodative system, he's 94 years old and he's still shifting where he is in focus. And his left eye is at a +250. So you can see that in the subjective, you'd think there's a 2.5 diopter difference between the eyes, but we balance is only a 3/4 difference between the two eyes. Anyway, that's what he measured. This is what I gave him. And at this point, the one thing I'm sure of is that the one thing I'm not going to give the patient is anything I measure. So because in my opinion, if you provide a lens based on what you've measured, the measurements are essentially a forensic assessment of their past. And so if you simply provide them with what compensates them for their past, you're holding them to that past. You're keeping them in the patterns they've already established and probably promoting that they continue to reinforce those patterns. If you wish to help patients move into their future and start changing how they organize themselves, you need to change the lens. You cannot simply provide a compensatory lens that measures them where they are. You need to help see where they need to go. Your question first. No, he has not had cataract surgery. Oh, probably yes. And I didn't pull it, but yes. But probably not terribly different from this. In this case, I would bet my retinoscopy was somewhere in between, closer to the binocular balance. Yeah, Chula. Good question. We'll get there. Okay. Other cases, but yes. Question? Oh, that's a great question. What is the binocular balance style that I utilize? So, most of the time when I'm doing a monocular subjective, it's actually biocular. I leave the one eye fogged by about 3/4 of a diopter. I'm also very kind because of my own history of right eye amblyopia, and it's miserable to start with the amblyopic channel or the less preferred eye. Be nice to your patients. If you already know at the intake that they are doing better with one eye than the other, use that eye first because it gives them the feeling of they're correct about things and they start, they get the answers right. They're like, oh, this is worse, this is better, right? So start with a better seeing eye first. It gives them confidence. Also, it helps them feel like they're more than halfway done when they're probably not. And then, so I leave a biocular fog when I'm doing the refraction, unless they cannot suppress or ignore that other channel, and then I'll shut it down. And I notate it differently by circling OD. If I'm only doing OD alone, I might have done the OS with both eyes open and then OD circle because I had to do it monocularly. Finally, when I binocularly balance, I usually do a vertical dissociation. Sometimes I'll do a duochrome if I need to, and I don't usually bother doing an alternating because usually I'm going to take them out of the phoropter and do other things at that point if they can't get it on a duochrome. Yeah, so it's a little bit fogged. So she's asking about with amblyopes, that quality of the image may not be as good no matter what. And yes, you're right, but that's not this lecture. I have to move on. Okay. So let me show you.
Now go ahead and take a walk all the way to the door.
Just so you can see, this is without glasses, how he's moving in space.
There's a twist. Your left shoulder is up and back. Your right shoulder is down and forward. You're falling onto your left foot. Pause. Pause. Okay. Before you walk, look in this direction and then walk. Look here. While you're walking, eyes come here towards my camera. Okay.
Perpetually looking at the ground. I'm worried he's going to land it.
On which foot?
He's saying he has
Okay.
an ingrown toenail. And it's making it hard for him to walk. So here we put the glasses on.
Okay. And first, just standing. You straighten up significantly once you put them on. Did you feel that?
I could feel it, yeah.
Uh-huh. That's interesting, isn't it? All right, turn around. Face the door. Take your walk. Spring chicken. Just when you get to the door, stop. Okay. Face me. Unclasp your hands.
He's holding
And
himself.
just walk this way.
He's got a lot more contact at the back of his foot.
There's a lot less rotation of the torso. Okay. Now, because you were being cartoonish and adorable, let's just do one more lap going away so you could see yourself without the extra overtone, let's call it.
All right. So we're going to here.
Look at the door, take a walk to the door.
So
just unaffected, just take a
going-
walk.
And just so you can watch them side by side, this is an unaffected walk here in this one. How much more upright he's standing.
Do you
how
feel
much
any
less-
difference by your ingrown toe on your right foot?
Yeah.
When you have the lenses on, do you notice a difference?
It's, I think it's less.
Yeah, you move in a less affected way.
Yeah.
And just in case you're not sure that the lenses do something to your movement, let's have you take them off. Just put them over here
and
on the side.
So
Remove
this is
them.
removing
Put them on the side.
lenses
Yes.
Okay.
so that you can see.
You've now gone tilted again.
Repeat
Turn around.
without the
Once again.
glasses.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting to know how to get there.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and take a walk. More falling onto the left foot.